In a world where every royal movement is watched, analyzed and magnified beyond imagination, a sudden shift inside the House of Windsor has set off a new wave of whispers, curiosity and undeniable concern. Today the palace has officially confirmed something many had quietly sensed but few expected to hear so directly. Prince William will be embarking on a high-profile international trip entirely on his own, while Princess Catherine, beloved by millions and long considered the steady anchor of the modern monarchy, quietly withdraws from the public eye. It is a development that feels both subtle and seismic, and the silence wrapped around it only deepens the intrigue. As the palace released the brief statement, the message was carefully worded, as royal announcements so often are, offering information but revealing little, confirming the decision but withholding the heart of the story. William will travel solo. Catherine will not appear. And with those two simple truths, the world was left to piece together the unanswered questions that now hang in the air like fog over Buckingham Palace. Observers who have followed the rhythms of royal life know that Princess Catherine's presence has long been more than symbolic. She is a stabilizing force, a warm counterbalance to the institutional coldness that sometimes shadows the monarchy, a figure whose smile softens protocol and whose grace elevates every event she attends. Her absence, then, is not easily dismissed as routine. It creates a void, one that resonates more deeply because she has already spent considerable time away from the spotlight in recent months, sparking waves of speculation, empathy and worry. Yet the palace continues to maintain its familiar posture, standing firm behind polished walls of decorum and restraint, offering no explanation beyond the statement that Catherine will remain out of sight for now, focusing on matters privately, quietly, away from the relentless flash of cameras and commentary. Prince William, meanwhile, steps forward alone, a symbolic image that carries weight far heavier than the itinerary of any diplomatic visit. As the future king, his presence has always mattered, but in these moments it carries a different kind of pressure. His solo appearance places him under a spotlight he did not seek, one intensified by the unspoken questions about why Catherine is not beside him. When he boards the plane, when he greets leaders, when he stands before the world without his wife at his side, every gesture will be studied for clues about her well-being and the unseen dynamics within the royal household. It is unfair, perhaps, but it is inevitable. The public does not simply observe the modern monarchy, it engages with it emotionally, sensing shifts before they are acknowledged, recognizing absences even more powerfully than appearances. Inside the palace, advisors undoubtedly anticipated the reaction that confirmation of William's solo trip would ignite. They understand all too well the world's fascination with Princess Catherine, the affection people feel for her, the protective instinct that arises whenever she steps out of view. And yet, the palace chose the quiet path. No detailed explanation, no extended statement, just a confirmation framed in calmness, as though the absence of one of the most visible members of the royal family were simply a logistical matter rather than the catalyst for international speculation. This strategic silence is nothing new, and yet it creates a tension between the institution and the people who follow it, a tension fueled by the knowledge that silence can feel louder than any official statement. Public reaction has been swift, emotional and wide-ranging. Social media ignited within minutes of the announcement, with countless voices expressing concern for Catherine's health, her family life and her overall well-being. Some pled for transparency. Others argue in favor of privacy. Still others interpret the palace's silence as a sign that something deeper is unfolding behind the scenes. Despite the noise, one common sentiment emerges again and again: people genuinely care about Princess Catherine. She has inspired a level of trust and emotional investment that few public figures ever achieve. Her retreat from public life feels personal to many who admire her, and William traveling alone only intensifies the perception that something significant is happening, even if the details remain hidden behind the palace's familiar veil. Meanwhile, royal watchers and analysts are parsing every angle, each offering their interpretations while acknowledging the limits of what is truly known. Some note that solo royal trips are not unprecedented, but this timing and context make it different. Others highlight that Catherine has earned the right to step back without relentless scrutiny, that her decades of dedication should grant her space to rest, recover or simply breathe. Still others suggest that the monarchy, an institution steeped in tradition yet constantly battling for modern relevance, is entering a delicate moment where stability relies more than ever on the transparency and unity of its key figures. Whatever the interpretation, the world's attention now gravitates not toward the locations William will visit, but toward the quiet absence of the woman who will not be by his side. As the narrative unfolds, one detail becomes increasingly clear: this moment is not just about a schedule change. It is about symbolism, visibility, vulnerability, and the fragile connection between a global institution and the people who follow its every move. William stepping out alone reflects a shift, temporary, perhaps, but undeniably noticeable. Catherine withdrawing underscores a change in rhythm that leaves room for both empathy and uncertainty. And the palace's silence, deliberate and controlled, is a reminder of how the monarchy navigates its most delicate moments, with calculated restraint, trusting that time, rather than explanation, will settle the narrative in its favor. But the world is no longer content to wait passively. In an era defined by instant information, the lack of clarity invites imagination to fill the void. People want reassurance. They want truth. They want to know that Catherine is well, that the royal family stands strong, that the future remains stable. And until the palace offers more than quiet confirmation of a solo trip, the questions will continue to rise, swirling around the monarchy like a storm the institution hopes will eventually calm on its own. As we watch these developments unfold, one thing remains undeniable: the world still cares deeply about the lives behind the royal titles. The story of William and Catherine is not just a royal narrative, it is a human one, filled with hopes, fears, devotion, and the silent battles that even the most glamorous lives must face. The prince travels on without the princess. The palace speaks quietly. And the world waits, watching closely, wondering what comes next, wondering what this new absence really means and what truths might one day be revealed when silence finally gives way to clarity. And as we continue to follow this unfolding chapter, we are left with the question that echoes across continents and conversations: what is truly happening beyond the palace walls, and how will this moment shape the future of the royal family?